it's hostile, you kill it. Destroy him.
Stay back. You come any closer, I'll shoot.
Surrender. Stop him. Destroy him. He cannot be allowed.
Procedure complete.
Artyom, the missiles are in flight!
We've got missiles in the air, I repeat, missiles in the air. Targets are lased.
A wise man once said, "He who leads a war for the love of his fellow men will defeat his enemies." I led my war protecting my family and friends, protecting my home, the metro. We had won. But to this day, I wonder, when we burned the Dark Ones from the face of the earth, was something lost as well?
Question has to be raised. Those they just look like standard cruise missiles to me. They didn't look in the slightest like they were armed with nuclear warheads, which is probably a good thing. So yes, we came to the ending that we did because obviously if we had done the other ending, then it wouldn't make sense when we go and do the next game because the stories wouldn't match up. It's a very, very interesting game, I have to say. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've played through it twice now. No, I'll tell a lie. I've played through the Redux version twice. I played through the original version once. Both very, very true to the story. The own had their nice little twists on them, but ultimately the experience was exactly the same, and that was a good thing. And the reason for that is because the main story and what they've been able to do, credit to developers, and obviously how the developers wanted to take this game, because it does something really, really clever. It does what movies are designed to do, and it's I don't want to say it's rare that I come across it in gaming, but it's very there's a very small niche. There's only a few games out there. There's really not many that put together a storyline which really engages the player. It really questions their morality, and it propels them into the story itself and creates this this world around them. And that's whether you're playing, you know, that's regardless of what brightness levels you're playing at it. That's just an immersion, small immersion, prosthetics outlook of things. The way that they've actually built the world around the player and how you're actively involved. Your decisions mean something. That these stories have depending which way you swing, especially in the next game, really depends on where the story is going to go. And I don't really want to go into too much about different endings, but these different endings will provide you with a completely different outlook on the story and on life, really. And I think what's really interesting is because what works is it's possible. We live in an age where it's some kind of nuclear war like this isn't the most far-fetched idea out there, even though it's not exactly on the horizon like it was during the Cold War. It still plays into that fact, that feeling that everybody has of what if, and people can relate to that. And what I like about what they've done, you know, really hats off to the developers, is the way they've wanted to go down this road, true to what the book is like. I've never actually read the book, but based off of the games themselves, I'm actually inclined to maybe actually buy a copy just to see the differences between the two, because that's how engaged I've been with the series. So I'm interested to see how they take it with Metro Exodus. But no, going back to the original point, what they've done is that they've set up the whole illusion of nuclear war as being a complete negative and a really realistic approach to what the fallout effects would be. And I say that in the sense that, oh, okay, different loading screen. That's interesting. I'll take us back to main menu. Oh, there we go. So yeah, the most interesting aspect has to be the fact that it does formulate this really realistic negative impact of what a nuclear war would have. Forget the fact that it's obviously, you know, there's all these mutants and horror-like aspects, which isn't 100% far-fetched, because it is known. Obviously, take things like Chernobyl, where obviously animals have, you know, been irradiated, and there have been a few, you know, genetical formations which has come about from the radiation and mutations, but obviously not to the degree of what you see in the Metro. But you know, you got to keep it entertaining, you know, either way. And I found it really entertaining and bloody scary as well. But it's really plausible. It's this sense of, you know, the scraps of what remains of the society coming together, and, you know, just trying to make do with, you know, with what's left of society, trying to find some kind of purpose in a world that's effectively just dead. And it really adds atmosphere to the actual story and your purpose for doing what you need to do. With the new Metro game coming in, I hope that certainly isn't the end of seeing the Metro. Even if we end up going to another city somewhere where there's another Metro, I think it'd be a shame if that aspect died off, because that's quite a unique appeal attraction to the Metro series. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really good. So we'll have to start thinking about going on to the next one. Obviously, bearing in mind we are coming towards the end of the month, and obviously mid-February is when the Exodus comes out. So if we want to get straight off the bat into things, then we need to be on the ball. I need to be on the ball. But no, thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really good game, and it's, you know, I don't really want to compare it to something like the Fallout side of things. Just forget Fallout 76. Let's just completely forget about that. I don't even want to touch that subject at all. But just going on the previous Fallout games from that, except the 76, and it approaches it differently. And it does provide a very unique aspect of gameplay, but it has a completely different outlook of the world. And it doesn't quite gather the same level of engagement. They're completely unique on their own, they work for what they're trying to be. But Metro really seals the deal for me. It really, really does. It's kind of got elements of everything in there. You've got the horror aspect, if you go for really low brightness. You've got the resource gathering and you know, the tactical gameplay. You've got a really, really good storyline to go with it. So yeah, the graphics look pretty amazing. Even in the original Metro, sure. If you play it these days, it's not the best, but for at the time, it was really good. So yeah, hats off to the whole Metro series and how they've really taken it from the original books there, and how they've expanded upon the story and actually put it into a interactive platform where you can actually embrace the character of Artyom and go on his journeys. And once we go into the next game, I'll explain how the ending of that last bit really kind of ties it in. Because I have to say, until I played the next one, it was kind of weird how that end little bit kind of played out. But then when you play the next one, you think back to the previous. This is what's really good. The game really engages you, the player, and you get really. The story really hooks you, and that's what's really, really good. It's just like a movie. You want to engage with it. It's like it's achieving what a movie does, but you're actually playing. You're a physical player, and that's one of the unique aspects of the Metro series that very few other games have touched upon, which is brilliant technique. I hope it continues. It has so far. So with the next game, you go through some of the story. Because you're so engaged, you then think back to the previous events of what's happened. And when you put everything together, you then get a complete full picture. And it makes a lot of sense. And especially considering I played the next game, and the choices I made was the ending that was the, let's say, so-called bad ending. Not that it was bad, it was like bad conscience ending, if you say, where, I don't want to really give it away, but basically where it doesn't progress into the storyline of the next, for Metro Exodus. So I'm gonna have to make sure I do the other ending when I play through it next time for you guys. So considering I know what those both endings are, it really puts into context how the developers really question your motives and basically your conscience, and just how you've decided to end up where you have from point A to point D, either by doing point B or point C, for example, to end up at either point D or even E for that matter, if that makes any sense. Anyway, that's Metro 2033 Redux.